30 forgotten hotel amenities we all miss. Chances are we've all stayed at a hotel at some point, but do you remember what used to make those trips truly special? As time marches on, technology advances, and budgets and tastes change, many ingenious hotel amenities have slowly faded away. Today, let's take a trip back in time to explore 30 hotel features you just won't find anymore. Ready? Let's dive in. Metal room keys with bulky fobs. Before the era of electronic key cards in the 1970s, checking into a hotel meant receiving a heavy metal room key attached to a large plastic or wooden fob. These fobs weren't just emblazoned with the hotel's logo and room number, but sometimes even its full address, making them easily identifiable. Their bulky size served a very practical purpose, to ensure guests didn't accidentally take them home. If you did forget, some hotels even stamped postage paid on the fob, allowing guests to simply drop the key in any mailbox without charge, as returning it was far cheaper than replacing a lock. The feeling of holding a solid metal key in your hand, then turning it to unlock your door, offered a sense of personalization and vintage charm that modern plastic cards just can't replicate. With the advent of electronic key cards and later digital keys on smartphones, the process became easier and safer, but it definitely took away a piece of that special old-school experience. Coin-operated magic fingers beds. If you ever stayed in a roadside motel from the 50s through the 80s, you'll surely remember this unique feature: coin-operated vibrating magic fingers beds. A small metal box mounted on the side of the bed. Just drop in a few coins and the entire mattress would begin to gently vibrate for about 15 minutes. Initially invented by John Hoodling in 1958, Magic Fingers was marketed as a relaxing way to soothe tired muscles after a long drive. However, many found the vibrations more of a novelty and a source of amusement than true relaxation. Kids would often beg their parents for quarters just to experience the sensation of the bed coming to life. And the feature even became a running gag in late-night TV sitcoms. Magic Fingers beds also provided a steady ancillary income for hotels and motels. By the 1990s, however, they gradually disappeared due to maintenance issues, changing guest preferences, and sanitation concerns. Today, the focus has shifted to higher quality mattresses like memory foam or pillow tops, offering better comfort and sleep support. But for those who experienced it, it remains one of those forgotten travel quirks you can't help but smile about. Ashtrays in every room. Back in the day, whether you checked into a budget motel or a luxury hotel, finding a heavy glass or ceramic ashtray on the nightstand was completely normal. Sometimes there were even a few scattered throughout the room. What's hard to believe now is that smoking wasn't just permitted but expected almost everywhere in a hotel. In rooms, hallways, lobbies, and certainly the bar. These ashtrays were often branded with the hotel's logo, designed to be sturdy enough to withstand a few bumps. They often came with customized matchbooks featuring the hotel's name or phone number, a free souvenir many guests pocketed. However, with growing health awareness about the dangers of smoking and the implementation of public smoking bans, this feature has gradually vanished. Today, most hotels are smoke-free environments to ensure the health and comfort of all guests, making the image of an ashtray a relic from a bygone era. Mini soaps and shower cap packets. Do you remember those charming little amenities neatly arranged by the bathroom sink? There were tiny bars of soap, often no bigger than a silver dollar, discreetly wrapped in paper bearing the hotel's name or emblem. Their scent was usually a generic, fresh kind, with subtle hints of floral or citrus. And right alongside them, you'd always find those crinkly, thin plastic shower cap packets, a polite nod to an era when hairdryers were rare and people were very particular about keeping their coiffure intact during a shower. These mini items, though small, were a sign of thoughtful care, proof that someone had meticulously prepared your room. They were also those road trip souvenirs many loved to take home, whether they truly needed them or not. However, to meet the growing demand for more conscious travel and to reduce single-use plastic waste, many hotels have replaced them with larger refillable pump dispensers for bath products. It's a small change with a big environmental impact, even if many still feel nostalgic for those cute little soaps. In-room stationery and free postcards. On every hotel room desk, you'd always find a polite stationery set. It included a crisp stack of hotel-branded notepaper, matching envelopes, and often a ballpoint pen or even a fancy mechanical pencil. Higher-end hotels would even feature embossed letterhead or gold-rimmed paper, inviting you to write home or jot down a few postcards. Speaking of which, free postcards with images of the hotel or local landmarks were always readily available. This was a thoughtful touch, both practical and personal, long before emails and text messages took over. It not only encouraged guests to send news to family and friends, but also served as effective advertising for the hotel. Now, with the ubiquity of smartphones, email, and social media, sending postcards or writing letters has become largely obsolete. Additionally, privacy concerns about jotting notes on paper and leaving them behind are another reason. While some luxury hotels still offer them, they are no longer a widespread feature, leaving memories of a simpler time, thoughtful details, and a slower pace of travel. Bulky plastic ice buckets and hallway ice machines. Do you remember this familiar hotel ritual? You'd grab a beige or brown plastic ice bucket, often with a plastic liner and a couple of plastic cups nearby, then head down the hallway to find the noisy, bulky ice machine. Once you found it, you'd pull the heavy metal lever, and with a resounding clatter, ice would cascade into your bucket, making you feel like you'd hit the jackpot. The satisfaction of bringing a full bucket of ice back to your room, especially on a hot road trip or after a long day of sightseeing, was truly indescribable. That ice could chill drinks from the vending machine or prepare an evening beverage. Interestingly, many older ice machines were produced by the Scotsman Company, which once held a monopoly in the hospitality industry. However, today, while you might still spot a few, they are much less common, and many hotels have completely eliminated this communal ice system. Wake-up calls from the front desk. Before smartphone alarms or automated systems, one of the charms of old-school hotels was the personalized wake-up call service from the front desk. You'd pick up your in-room phone, speak to a real person, and ask them to note your desired wake-up time. The next morning, the bedside phone would ring, followed by a polite voice saying, "Good morning, this is your wake-up call." Sometimes in smaller or family-run hotels, they'd even add cheerful greetings like, "Have a good sleep," or "Have a wonderful day." This was a personal touch that offered a feeling of being cared for, as if someone genuinely wanted to make sure you didn't miss your early flight or important meeting. It also built a layer of trust and anticipation. While today's digital alarms are more convenient, they simply can't replicate the human warmth of a friendly wake-up call. That little sense of connection you got from the voice on the other end of the line. Loving the memories? Let us know by typing yes in the comments. We're just getting started. Complimentary shoe shine service or electric shoe polishers. During the golden age of travel, especially from the 60s to the early 90s, complimentary shoe shine service was a standard amenity in many mid-range to high-end hotels. This service wasn't just for high-flying business executives, but for anyone who wanted to look sharp. The process was simple yet refined. You'd place your shoes outside your door in the evening, tucked inside a provided cloth bag or on a discreet mat. By morning, as if by magic, your shoes would be gleaming and ready for a new day. Some hotels even had electric shoe polishers near elevators in the hallway, allowing guests to quickly spiff up their footwear before meetings. In that era, well-polished shoes were a sign of respect and professionalism. However, with the rise of casual dress codes and fewer people wearing shiny leather shoes, this service has become rare. Now, if you're lucky, you might find a small shoe shine kit in your closet. This reminds us of a time when hospitality was about the little extras, the small surprises that made you feel truly cared for. Printed in-room dining menus. Another classic memory from hotel stays is the printed in-room dining menus, often neatly placed in a leather binder or on the desk, promising lavish breakfasts delivered right to your door. Flipping through the glossy pages, full of choices like fluffy pancakes, crispy bacon, eggs cooked every way, hash browns, toast with jam, and of course hot coffee or fresh orange juice, felt truly luxurious. Room service back then wasn't just about convenience. It was part of the experience. Hotels prided themselves on serving a breakfast that felt almost like a fine dining meal, but you didn't even need to change out of your pajamas. The ordering process was also simple and charming. You'd fill out a breakfast order card that hung on your doorknob the night before, ticking your choices and desired delivery time. With the advent of QR codes and digital menus on TVs, tablets, or mobile apps, printed menus have gradually disappeared. This shift helps reduce waste, offers more convenience, and is more hygienic, especially after the pandemic. Hotel-branded matchbooks. Here's a small item that can spark a vivid memory for many. Hotel-branded matchbooks, often found right on the nightstand or next to an ashtray. These tiny matchbooks were not only practical but also highly collectible. Almost every hotel, from humble motels to luxurious resorts, had their own custom-designed matchbooks. Some were simple, featuring just the hotel's name and address, while others were more elaborate with colorful logos or witty slogans. They weren't just decorative, they were essential back when smoking was common, ensuring you were never without a light. Even non-smokers loved collecting them. The hobby of collecting matchbooks even had its own name, Philimamy, and there were clubs dedicated to it. However, with smoking bans and stricter fire safety regulations, most hotels have phased them out. Now, finding an old matchbook in a drawer is like discovering a pocket-sized time capsule, a small but flammable piece of American travel history. Hotel pools with diving boards. One of the most unforgettable images from family vacations of yesteryear is hotel pools with actual diving boards. Not the decorative, shallow pools of today, but large, bustling, family-friendly pools featuring slightly creaky diving boards that sent kids soaring into the air with endless delight. From the 60s through the 80s, these pools were the heart of the hotel experience. Whether you were attempting the perfect cannonball, a daring flip, or simply enjoying the exhilarating spring before plunging into the water, it was pure bliss. Hotels were eager to advertise their pools, especially those with diving boards, in travel brochures and postcards. However, safety concerns and skyrocketing insurance costs led to the gradual disappearance of diving boards. Those diving boards turned ordinary hotel stays into joyful summer adventures, and the memories of them remain as clear as a carefree splash. Lobby payphones. Before cell phones became ubiquitous, encountering a gleaming row of payphones in the hotel lobby was a familiar, almost ritualistic sight. These wall-mounted phones were your direct connection to the outside world. You might remember the feel of dropping coins into the slot, the clinking echoing through the quiet lobby as you dialed home to let family know you'd arrived safely. For business travelers, this was the hub to check in with the office, confirm meetings, or even call in a dinner reservation. These phone banks were not just practical but also a social crossroads, where waiting travelers could sometimes overhear snippets of other people's conversations. By the early 2000s, these once common devices began to vanish, making way for mobile phones and high-speed internet. Complimentary sewing kits. Do you remember struggling with a loose button right before an important event? Almost every hotel room in the old days provided a tiny sewing kit, often tucked away in a desk drawer or bathroom cabinet. These kits were little lifesavers. A few strands of thread in neutral colors, a couple of spare buttons, a safety pin, and a small needle, all neatly packaged in a slim, hotel-branded envelope. Finding such a kit brought a quiet sense of relief, especially if you were off to a wedding, a big presentation, or a long-awaited reunion. This exemplified a time when hotels prided themselves on small, thoughtful details and genuine hospitality. Before the era of fast fashion and disposable items, mending a tear or reattaching a button was just part of daily life. Today, these sewing kits have quietly disappeared from most hotel rooms, making way for convenience culture and changing guest expectations. Wall-mounted hairdryers. Let's look at a device once considered the pinnacle of in-room convenience, the hotel wall-mounted hairdryer. If you stayed in a mid-range or upscale hotel from the 70s to the 90s, you probably remember this beige or white plastic unit fixed firmly to the bathroom wall. It looked a bit like a cross between a vacuum hose and a toaster, but at the time, it was a modern marvel. Carrying your own hairdryer while traveling wasn't really practical. They were bulky and heavy. Hotels providing wall-mounted hairdryers greatly helped guests, especially when needing to quickly get ready for a night out or a morning meeting. You'd flip the little switch, hear the distinctive whirring noise, and try to dry your hair while hoping the built-in overheat protection wouldn't abruptly shut it off mid-use. Wall-mounted hairdryers are a rare sight in hotel bathrooms today. Most modern hotels have upgraded to sleeker handheld models or expect guests to bring their own. Which of these features do you remember most? Share your memories in the comments below. Hotel room TVs with built-in pay-per-view boxes / coin-operated TVs. Let's rewind to an even earlier time. The bulky hotel room TVs with awkward built-in pay-per-view boxes sitting on top or mounted to the side. Before streaming services and smart TVs, this was how you watched the latest movies or a big game right from your hotel bed for a hefty price. These systems were once considered the future. After a long day of sightseeing or work, you'd flip through the clunky on-screen guide, hoping to find something worth paying extra for. Some more budget-friendly hotels even had coin-operated TVs, where you had to drop in quarters for a limited viewing time, turning TV watching into a paid service. Remote controls were often tethered to the nightstand or built right into the bedside control panel. Cumbersome yet oddly satisfying to click. However, as technology advanced, streaming services and free HD channels pushed these systems into the past of the hospitality industry. Themed room designs. There was a time when hotels had personality. Instead of the generic, interchangeable rooms you find everywhere, hotels once prided themselves on unique themed room designs. You might find spaceship suites, jungle rooms, or even entire hotels dedicated to a single theme. This offered a special, fun feeling that made every trip an unforgettable adventure. Over time, however, most hotel chains abandoned this unique decor for neutral designed rooms that look the same whether you're in New York or Nebraska. The reason? Standardization makes branding and maintenance easier. While this might make sense economically and managerially, it also stripped away the fun and uniqueness that once made hotel stays so exciting. Grand piano in the lobby. For those who appreciate luxury and a refined ambiance, the image of a grand piano prominently placed in a hotel lobby, often with a live pianist playing music, is a cherished memory. The melodious tunes not only created a relaxed, sophisticated mood as guests checked in or enjoyed evening cocktails, but also added a refined touch to the lobby space. It transformed the hotel lobby from just a waiting area into a space for experiencing art and relaxation. However, to cut costs, most hotels have replaced live pianists with pre-recorded music playlists played through sound systems. While this is understandable financially, no Spotify playlist can match the charm of a pianist setting the mood in a hotel lobby. This change, though small, has diminished some of the charm and special character of old-school upscale hotels. Glass cups in rooms. Back in the day, finding real glass cups in every hotel room was a given. They were neatly placed next to the sink, sometimes wrapped in paper for hygiene. Using glass cups offered a more luxurious, refined, and sustainable feel compared to disposable options. It showed care for the guest experience, signaling that the hotel wanted to provide the best quality items. Over time, however, most hotels replaced these glass cups with disposable ones, either plastic cups sealed in wrappers or flimsy paper cups. While these single-use cups might be more convenient for cleanup and reduce breakage risks, they tend to give a cheap feel and make drinking water in a hotel room feel like a fast food experience. In-bathroom telephones. One feature that might surprise many is the presence of telephones in the bathroom. Hotels added these phones primarily to ensure guest safety in case they slipped in the shower and needed urgent help. This was a thoughtful detail demonstrating the hotel's concern for every aspect of the stay. However, with rapid technological advancements and most people carrying mobile phones in their pockets, the need for these auxiliary phones has vanished. They've quietly been removed from hotel rooms. Today, the only place you might still find a bathroom phone is in classic luxury suites that haven't been updated in decades, a true relic of another era. In-room Bibles. For decades, a Bible on the nightstand was a common sight in hotel and motel rooms across America. These Bibles were distributed by the Gideon's International, an organization founded in 1899 by traveling salesmen who wanted to spread the teachings of Christ. This tradition began in the early 1900s, with the idea that travelers would find comfort and guidance in the Bible during their stay. It became a familiar part of the hotel experience, a sign of hospitality and concern for guests' spiritual well-being. However, with shifts in societal views on religion, the diversity of guest beliefs, and even concerns about theft, these Bibles have become less common in hotel rooms. Some hotels still provide them upon request, but they are no longer a standard fixture. Complimentary slippers and bathrobes. There was a time when finding plush bathrobes and cozy slippers ready in your hotel room was a given. Sometimes they were even complimentary gifts guests could take home. These items provided a feeling of comfort, warmth, and elevated the luxury experience for guests. It showed the hotel's thoughtfulness, wanting guests to feel as comfortable and pampered as they would be at home, if not more so. However, today, unless you're staying in a high-end luxury hotel, you won't automatically find these amenities anymore. Slippers have almost become a thing of the past in most hotels, and bathrobes, if available, are often only provided upon request. This shift is partly due to cost and partly because hotels now focus on more essential amenities. It detracts a small part from the luxury and special feeling these amenities once provided. If you had to pick one feature to bring back to modern hotels, which would it be and why? Evening Turndown service. This service was once the highlight of a wonderful hotel stay, offering a sense of being cared for and pampered. In the evening, housekeeping would return to your room to prepare your bed, fold back the covers, dim the lights, and leave a small chocolate on your pillow. This service was more than just bed preparation. It was a subtle gesture that made guests feel more comfortable returning to their room at the end of the day, ready for sleep. It created a small surprise and a touch of luxury. However, today, this service has become very rare. Guests often return to find their bed in the same, slightly rumpled state as when they left in the morning. Nevertheless, some hotels still offer other evening amenities like premium snacks, sleep aids, or custom aromatherapy as an alternative to this traditional service. Hotel gift shops. These used to be reliable destinations for travelers seeking souvenirs, late-night snacks, or last-minute essentials. You could easily buy a hotel-logoed t-shirt, a small toy for kids, or a bag of chips without leaving the premises. This convenience was a key part of the hotel experience, especially for those arriving late or not wanting to venture out. However, with the rise of online shopping and the increasing prevalence of convenience stores right near hotels, the demand for these gift shops has significantly declined. Now, if you forget your toothbrush or need a soda, you'll almost certainly have to head out to find a convenience store down the street. Live fish in some hotel rooms. It might sound strange, but there was a time when checking into a hotel could come with an unexpected amenity: a pet fish in your room. Some upscale hotels, like the Monaco hotel chain, once offered an in-room goldfish service to keep solo travelers company. This was a unique, low-maintenance touch that made the stay more personal. It created a cozy, living space, helping guests feel less lonely and giving them something to watch. However, this idea has quietly vanished. Maintaining fish tanks, ensuring hygiene, and caring for the fish became more of a hassle than a hospitality gesture for hotels. The cost and effort required to maintain these unique amenities outweighed the benefits they provided, making them a fond memory of an attempt to personalize the hotel experience. In-room fireplaces. For hotels in colder climates, being welcomed by a wood-burning or gas fireplace in your room was a special treat that made winters cozier. Luxury hotels capitalized on this amenity, with flickering flames and plush armchairs, creating a relaxing and romantic atmosphere. It provided warmth, comfort, and a classic charm. However, due to strict fire safety regulations, high maintenance costs, and liability concerns if an incident occurred, this amenity has become rare. Ensuring safety and compliance has led many hotels to eliminate in-room fireplaces, even though they were once a symbol of luxury and coziness. Now, to find a hotel room with a fireplace, you'd have to be very lucky and usually only in special resorts. library rooms, and reading lounges. In the past, many grand hotels, especially historic ones, often featured library rooms or reading lounges stocked with books. These spaces offered busy guests a quiet place to read, work, or unwind. It was a secluded haven, a retreat from the lobby's bustle and the sometimes limited privacy of a bedroom. Guests could find good books, daily newspapers, or simply a peaceful space to focus. However, with the widespread availability of free Wi-Fi and the convenience of e-books, tablets, and smartphones, physical books have lost their appeal. Those inviting library and reading spaces have gradually vanished, giving way to more modern amenities like coffee shops or co-working areas where guests can connect to the internet and use their personal devices. Business centers. Back when laptops were clunky and Wi-Fi was unreliable, hotel business centers were practically a necessity. They were equipped with rows of desktop computers, printers, and even fax machines, helping traveling professionals stay connected to work. This was where business people could print documents, send urgent faxes, or reliably access the internet for work. However, as technology relentlessly advanced, laptops became lighter, and Wi-Fi became faster and more stable. The demand for these business centers sharply declined. No one wants to bother going downstairs to check emails or print documents when everything can be done on their personal devices right in their room. Business centers have gradually disappeared, becoming a classic example of how technology transforms once crucial hotel amenities. Manual guest registers. Long ago, when checking into a hotel, you'd have to sign your name in a large, handwritten guest register. These books were often publicly displayed in the lobby, where anyone could easily view the names, addresses, and sometimes other personal information of those staying there. It was a simple method for hotels to keep records of their guests. However, over time, hotel owners realized that publicly displaying guest information posed significant privacy and security concerns. This awareness led to a substantial shift in how guest information was managed, prioritizing personal data protection. Eventually, these handwritten registers were replaced by computerized systems, which stored guest information more securely and privately. Today, you might only see similar books in some small inns or Airbnbs, but they are primarily used for guests to leave reviews rather than for registration. Do you agree that the convenience of modern technology has taken away some of the unique charm of old hotel stays? Share your thoughts in the comments. Key cubbies. During the era of metal keys, many hotels had a specific rule. Guests had to leave their room keys at the front desk whenever they left the building. To manage hundreds of these keys, hotels used a system of small compartments known as key cubbies, built into a wall behind the front desk. These cubbies weren't just for keys, they were also where staff could leave messages or mail for guests during their stay. The primary purpose was to reduce guests losing keys or accidentally taking them home, saving the hotel the cost of lock replacement. However, with the advent of electronic keycards, this system became obsolete. Nevertheless, some vintage hotels like the Goldener Hirsch in Salzburg, Austria, still retain their key cubbies and heavy keys, primarily for charm and display purposes, even though the doors are now equipped with card readers. Fully stocked minibars. Once a symbol of luxury and convenience in hotel rooms, the fully stocked minibar is a feature many will feel nostalgic about. First introduced at the Hilton Hong Kong in 1974, these small fridges were packed with drinks, alcoholic beverages, and snacks, offering guests maximum convenience without leaving their room. This led to a huge leap in beverage revenue, over 500% increase, and overall revenue, over 5% increase for the Hilton in just a few months. Minibars quickly became a global trend. However, over time, these minibars gradually disappeared or were significantly scaled back. Reasons include high maintenance and restocking costs, disputes with guests over item consumption, and after the COVID-19 pandemic, hygiene concerns regarding items not cleaned between stays. Today, instead of minibars, many hotels offer alternatives like communal kitchens, vending machines, or convenience stores where guests can buy snacks at more reasonable prices. Nevertheless, minibars to convey pride in the inheritance of noble cultural values. Thank you for watching. While many old amenities have given way to the convenience and efficiency of modern technology, The memories of them remain an indelible part of travel history. They remind us of a time when hospitality was expressed through small details and delightful surprises. Thank you for joining Back to Yesterday on this nostalgic journey. Don't forget to like, share this video, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming exciting content. See you soon.